Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, welcome back. And today I want to share hopefully some words of encouragement for you guys. I want to share with you my pregnancy story with baby number one. Okay? And that is my daughter who is on the spectrum. Okay? And it was everything about being on the spectrum, okay, is nothing like you ever intended or anticipated. So let's just put that on the table right now. But in terms of our story, the way that things unfolded for us was very scary at times, you know. But God really turned a sad, sorrowful event into something, filled with joy. And hopefully, my story will encourage you if you are pregnant or you expecting another child or thinking about having another child, and you already have one that's on the spectrum. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't know. I want to share this. Maybe this will help someone today. Okay, so I would just start by saying, my God, and hopefully your God, and that we got the same God, is awesome. And the way that He moves is, whew. When my husband and I used to live in Florida because I had gone back to college and to get my degree. And we were dating at the time, and we had a long distance relationship, and he eventually moved down and stayed with some other gentleman that went to the same church that we had attended. And we got engaged, we got married, we got married back home, but we continued to live in Florida, and we stayed there for a while. And then it got to the point where financially we could not keep up with the cost of living. Okay, it wasn't that we had 3 college degrees between the two of us and numerous years of experience, but the cost of living and the pay wages was making it very difficult for us to stay there. We knew had we stayed one more year, we would have lost our home. And we were renting at the time, but even to find that home was a challenge, and so we knew that we just couldn't stay. We knew that we were on a bad path. So we decided to kind of cut our losses early, and we had a choice of going to Texas or to coming to where we live now. And we decided to come, to the state that we're in now. And we thought, okay, this is great. We'll look for work. We'll get on our feet. We won't have to be in this temporary situation, for long. And the temporary situation wasn't the most encouraging, wasn't the most, it just wasn't the best situation emotionally that we were in, but we were stuck and we had drained all 3 bank accounts, so we had nowhere to go. We had no finances. When I say we had no finances, we had 3 bank accounts that we drained to get to the state that we are in, that we're living in now. And I mean, we found a church home, and we met a couple there that had some young kids, and we would babysit for them. And they were struggling, but at least we provided services for them, and they paid us when they could. And I mean, our food budget was like $10, like $10 for 2 adults, like, and that would have to last us for like 2 weeks, for real. Y'all know I'm gonna do real talk. $10 worth of groceries. And I mean, when you talk about eating bread and oodles and noodles, that is what we lived off of. And we were not trying to get pregnant during this time. Believe me, that was the furthest thing from our mind. But as you know, babies happen. Okay, babies happen. It's okay. I love my little bits, and we were still looking for work. And my husband had put in he had applied for a job. And before we got out the parking lot, they called him back in, like for a second interview. Like we were sitting in the parking lot, and they called him back in, and we're like, wow, this is different. Like, that must mean they like you and they can make a decision soon. And we did not hear from them. And weeks went by. And we still have those 3 empty bank accounts and living off of bread and noodles and the kindness of others, which we're grateful for. But work-wise, I was not finding anything in my field, which is, interior design. My husband was not finding any work in his field either. And the one promising lead that he had, they never contacted him back, but he was still looking, going on interviews, talking to recruiters, and then finally, like, November came around, and it was just like he contacted this particular company and say, hey, are you still interested? Like, what's going on? And they were like, oh yeah, we're still interested. Crickets. Like, okay. I mean, you don't want to sound desperate, but let's just keep it real. Like, okay, what y'all gonna do? Hello. But during this whole time, we had no health insurance. The health insurance with his last company, I did not have health insurance with my job. And his last company in Florida, the health insurance was so bad that honestly, it was like you might as well just not even had insurance. Okay, anyways, we got through that time in Florida. But here we are in our new state searching for work. I'm not finding anything. He's not finding anything. The one lead is not communicating with us. Christmas time comes around and he's like, hello, I mean, obviously not like that, but contact us saying, are you still interested in me? I'm still looking for work. What's going on? And they said, oh, we just working on your offer letter. Okay, it's been like 3 months. Oh my God, so anyway, so they offer him the job. The job starts in the new year, but we still don't have health insurance. And by this time, I'm already several months pregnant with no insurance. And we tried to go through government assistance, but we didn't qualify because they based our qualification on our previous income. So we made too much money to even get assistance. And maybe there were other programs that we didn't know about, but the main program we was trying to find to at least until we got on our feet, we didn't qualify for it because they said, nope, sorry, you guys made too much. I said, okay, so here I am pregnant, and we're not in the healthiest of living situations, not very encouraging. And he just started his new job after the new year, but the insurance doesn't kick in for another 3 months, which means I'm going to be 6 months pregnant before I had any prenatal care. Okay, you hear what I'm saying? 6 months pregnant, no prenatal care, and going through a lot of emotional stress. Okay, so we managed to get our own place to move out, like we moved out in February, and I still, have no health care. So I'm just doing the best I can, with the limited knowledge that I had on how to take care of myself. And we went, and when the health insurance card came, I called around, like, hey, I'm pregnant. I need a doctor, do you take my insurance? And they were like, well, okay, well, how far along are you? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm 24 weeks. So I was probably 22 weeks by the time I made my appointments. And every single doctor's office was like, nope, sorry, can't help you. Nope, sorry, can't help you, sorry, no. We don't take anyone that far along with no prenatal care. Every single doctor's office said no. finally called this one place, and I was like, okay, well, it was a practice. They had about 5 or 6 doctors. Like, do you take my insurance? And I'm like, great. And they're like, how far along with you? Like, by this point, I'm like, I'm almost 6 months. No. And it's like, well, we have one other doctor at this location who might see you because he does take your insurance, and we'll see if he'll take you. So he was willing to take me, and I was really iffy about male OBGYNs, but that's a whole nother video, y'all. But he was willing to take me, and by the time I saw him, I was 24 weeks pregnant with no prenatal care. And he got about 5 minutes into my examination, and he was like, we have a problem. When you are pregnant and you have been through the madness that we through, like, that's the last thing you want to hear is, ma'am, we have a problem. And so my husband was like, what in the world is going on? He's like, we have to get you to the hospital. Like, I was dilating. By the time I was 24 weeks pregnant, I was already about 1.5 centimeters dilated. And my water sac was starting to push through. And I was like, excuse me? Like, okay, so what does this mean for our child, And our child was super small. And so we knew something was wrong. We didn't understand the magnitude of what was going on, but we knew, yeah, you need to get to the hospital. So he gave me my options of either being on bed rest or having a cerclage put in, and I was not up to having surgery, period. But then the fact that my water sac was already protruding through, just the idea of that during the surgery, that water sac could be punctured potentially. And once it punctures, that's it. Like, the baby's coming, and my baby is not fully developed to a place where she could sustain life outside the womb. I was like, no surgery. I'll do bed rest. But I knew me. And I know that I'm a busybody, y'all. I'm crazy. I'm up doing everything. And so I knew I could not trust myself to be at home, while my husband was working and not move around. Like, that just wasn't going to happen. And so he gave me those 3 options. You have to stay home and stay on bed rest. You go to the hospital and be on bed rest, or you have the surgery. And I said to myself, you cannot let this baby die. Like, you cannot put this baby in jeopardy. And options 1 and option 2 are going to put this child in jeopardy. So you need to suck it up, buttercup. And so I went to the hospital, and I was placed on inverted bed rest, head down, legs up, to help defy gravity. I could not sit. I could not be in a upright seated position except to pot, other than to go to the bathroom and to shower. Like, every 2 to 3 days, I was allowed to shower for 5 minutes. Ooh, fragrant, y'all. I was fragrant. Okay. But that's all the sitting I was allowed to do from the time I was admitted to the hospital. And I was staying until that baby was born. And I wound up being hospitalized for 9 weeks in the perinatology ward. Okay. Perinatology, that's a high risk pregnancy, guys. Okay. So 9 weeks I was on inverted bed rest, and a lot of women came and went. I had my own room, but I got a chance to meet a few of the moms that were there, and some of those stories are a lot more heartfelt than mine, and you lift them all up in prayer, because it's not easy emotionally or physically to go through a traumatic pregnancy, and all I could do was stare out my window, but my hospital room was on one of the top levels, and my window looked out to a brick wall. 2 months I stared at a brick wall. And the lady in the room behind me who had triplets, but one of them had passed, and they were trying to prolong the pregnancy of the other two. And so she had the corner window that looked to the brick wall, and I had the room next to it. And she was like, she could not handle, I guess, that dreariness, that lack of sunshine. There was no direct sunlight coming into our rooms, you know, and staring at a brick wall all day. You could paint that wall as nice as you want to, but it was a brick wall. It was I could look out my window and see like the ventilation units on the rooftop, you know, of the lower levels of the hospital, you know. But one of the things I will always remember is that in my heart, I knew that I had to do what I needed to do to save my child. And that was always in the back of my mind, you know. So I felt like I didn't have time to be sad. I did not have time to complain about a brick wall. Now, they did have a painting on the wall. It was like a painting of a garden, you know. And so when those kind of low times came, I just stare at my window and be like, oh yeah, I'm out in my garden today watching the birds and the butterflies. And I would crack my nurses up. They thought I was crazy, but we already know the truth, y'all. You know, and I just stared out the window. I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't do anything for 2 months. And we held out for as long as I could. And I remember asking my head nurse, you know, because I absolutely did not want to have a C-section. And she was like, oh no, you having a C-section like that. Your child is not going to survive natural birth. And I did not want to hear that. But then, you know, in my heart, I'm like, I don't like no doctors. I don't trust being knocked out. Like, no, not me. But again, I just keep going back to, you just gotta suck it up, Buttercup, and do what is best for your child. And I was like, okay, you know, for the baby, I can do it. I'll do it. I'm scared out of my wits, but I can do it. Lord, just, you know, be a fence, protect us, you know. And we did. And we got to several weeks into my stay, and I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. Yay. And so we had to do finger pricks every day. Yeah, I do not like needles. Okay. Even now, 8 years later almost, I do not like needles. But guess what? It got to the point where I had one nurse who just did not have a good bedside manner. I said, give me that thing. Like, you can't touch me no more. I will stick myself before I let you stick my finger. Okay? Like, I do what I gotta do. Sometimes in life, as a parent, you have to do what you need to do for the well-being of your child. So that means I had to give myself my own finger pricks, you know, to take my blood, to test for my blood sugar levels. I had to be on bed rest, inverted, head down for 2 months, y'all. 2 months. I could only go to the bathroom like a few times a day. I could only shower like twice a week. That is crazy, y'all. But I knew that my child's life depended on me being disciplined, you know, and I could not go down to the ultrasound room in a wheelchair. I had to be on like the gurney, you know, beds. And they would take me down and they would just transfer me to the bed to do my ultrasound. And one day, you know, the technician was, you know, doing my ultrasound, and she took a little while. And then she was like, oh, well, I'll be back. I'm going to go, you know, show the results to the doctor, and then he'll be in to talk to you. And so I'm like, okay, well, I can't go nowhere. I'm up here on this bed. I can't go nowhere. And tick tock, like a lot of time passed. And I remember thinking, wow, man, she's been gone for a long time. He must have another patient that's, something major must be going on with this, other, mom. And eventually my doctor came in, my perinatalogist came in. Um, and he was like, Miss Smith, we have a problem. This is the second time I've been told that in like 2 weeks. And I was like, and he kind of sighed, real deep sigh. And he was like, here's the deal. My placenta was misshapen. I could not tell you the causes of autism. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a mommy on a mission to make my life and for my family as as joyful and as pleasant as possible. But with this pregnancy, my placenta did not form properly. It should look like a roast. It looked like macaroni and cheese. And sorry if that grosses you out, but that's just that's real talk, guys, and I'm going to keep it real with you. Okay. And what they also found, other than a misshapen placenta, was that the blood flow from the placenta to my daughter was reversing on itself. And if you do not know, that can kill your child. Okay? That can kill your child. And that was something that was very difficult to hear. And I could tell in his voice he was trying to stay calm and try to keep me calm as well, and trying not to get me up in a panic. But I knew, I knew that was a big deal. On top of the fact that she was not gaining weight at all. When I first went to the doctor, she weighed about 1.5 pounds. They can measure, the approximate weight of the child. And she was about 1.5 pounds, and 2 months later, she was still 1.5 pounds when she was born. And they were like, if we see this again, we gotta take her. You're not gonna make it, the full 40 weeks. It's just, this situation with the blood flow is too dangerous for your child, and that was at a time where my husband had to have the conversation with the doctors, like, if it comes between my wife and my child, you gotta save my wife. And that's a hard decision. That's a hard conversation to have and a hard decision to make. I mean, one of these days I hope to get my husband in a video so he can share, from his perspective. But that's the real deal of where we were at as a new parents, and so they continued to monitor. They monitored several times a week. I was down getting tests, and eventually, if you've had a child, they put the heart monitor on so you can listen to the heart rate. And I said, okay, God, like, I just got to trust my doctors. My OBGYN, he's a crazy old man, but I love him. He is like probably one of the best doctors across the board that I've ever had. He's been with me, we're in 2017. He's been with me through 4 pregnancies, 2 survived, 2 didn't. And he has been with me every step of the way. And I appreciate his heart. You can tell when someone genuinely cares for you, and when you are in kind of a tragic situation, when they genuinely are grieving with you. And he has grieved with me through the loss of my 2 pregnancies. And I appreciate his heart in that regard. My perinatalogist was just another man that I could tell just really cared about me as a patient, not just, for the money, but he really was concerned about my pregnancy, and I appreciate that. I could tell that during my interaction with him. And so here we go. We're 9 weeks in, and I'm on the baby monitor, and I go to sleep listening to my daughter. I wake, I take naps. I listen to her heartbeat all the time. And one weekend, I had a new nurse, and I was laying down, and I remember saying, something's not right with my daughter. Now, for 2 months, I've been listening to her heartbeat. And this one particular day, like, her heartbeat was elevated, very noticeable, that a person with no medical background would be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Something's not right here. And I told my nurse, and she completely brushed me off. And I'm like, I already got enough on my plate, and I'm telling you something's wrong with my child. Now, I'm strapped up in this bed, and I can't go nowhere. So I'm, counting on you as the medical professional to do something. And she was like, oh, ain't nothing wrong. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I was so upset. Lord, I probably did not say a whole lot of Christian things in my head. I'm just letting y'all know right now, okay? And when the next nurse came in, that was my night nurse. So when the morning nurse came in, I told her what happened. And it took everything in me to not break down into tears. I said, I do not want that nurse. Y'all, I will go without a nurse, or you find me somebody else. I do not want that woman back in my care, in my, taking care of me. And so the morning nurse was like, okay, we hear you. She allowed me to, they monitor my daughter more often than what they were doing up until that point to make sure everything was okay. But I knew something was wrong because I had listened to her heartbeat for 2 months. And this is one of the pieces of advice that my main nurse gave me. She said, remember, you are your child's first line of defense. Period. There is no medical degree. There is no college class. There's no practicum. There is nothing that can replace you as the mother and your child's first line of defense. Okay? Period. He said, so if you feel something is not right, do not ignore it. You have to speak up, because you're not just speaking for yourself, you're speaking for your child. And that's something that I have kind of learned, during all of this, my time as a parent. If you can't stand up for your child, who's going to stand up for them? Because at the end of the day, they're children. They need us as adults to stand up for them, to take that burden that they cannot carry themselves. And so, a week later, that was a Sunday. That Saturday, I was laying in the bed, and I'm telling you, I just don't know. I've had the best medical care that I believe I could have been given. I've had, other than that one nurse, okay, and maybe a couple NICU nurses, but I had the best medical care. And so that Saturday, I was laying in bed, had been talking to my best friend from high school, and was about to drift off to sleep. And I turned and I looked at the heart rate monitor, and my daughter's heart rate monitor was erratic. It was erratic. And I remember some of the advice that my main nurse had given me. So if you see something on the monitor, these are the steps that you need to take. If you get through these 5 or 6 steps and things are not corrected, call the nurse. But these are the things that you can do, as mom. And I went through that whole list. And by the time I got to the end of that list, my daughter's heart rate was still erratic. And I called the nurse, and they came in and they looked at it. And then the nurse went back out, and I could hear them in the hallway. Can you get doctor on the phone? So I knew something was not right. So I sent my husband a text message, and I said, honey, you need to come to the hospital. You need to come, because something's going on, and they're calling in the doctor right now, and I was only at 31 weeks, and sure enough, she had to be delivered by C-section. Her heart rate, and I knew that Sunday, you gotta listen, guys. I knew that Sunday that something was not right with her heart rate, and that nurse blew me off. And a week later, her heart rate was not stabilized, and they had to take her. It was not stabilizing on its own. And so my daughter was born. Mother's Day, baby. We were the first baby born on Mother's Day at our hospital, And in the middle of the night, everybody else asleep. We down in surgery. But she was born and she weighed 1.5 pounds, y'all. If you don't know what 1.5 pounds is, I'm going to show you. Okay. This does not weigh 1.5 pounds. But that is about the width of my daughter's head when she was born. Her head, okay? That was the width of her head. Her body and legs were maybe, guys, that long, okay? Body and head. So head, body, legs, this. Okay, it's not in sponsored message, but this is how big my daughter was when she was born. Okay, 1.5 pounds, the size of your hand. And she went straight to the NICU, did not get to hold her, barely got a chance to physically see her. And that was kind of tough. When I finally got a chance to see her and to see all the cords and the head wraps and everything, that was a hard thing to go through. But I think what I remembered, as hard as it was to see those things, the main thing I always came back to is you gotta do what's best for your child. And I was facing some scary things, between the diabetes, the gestational diabetes, the reverse blood flow, the inverted bed rest, not being able to walk, all these different things that we were going through, the crazy living situation. And I had spent more time in the hospital than I had in our new apartment. A premature baby, 9 weeks premature, 1.5 pounds at birth. You have to face your fears and do what is best for your child. And being sad, withdrawing within myself was not what was best for my child. Getting angry, like, why is this happening to me, was not what was best for my child. And I had to stay positive, because I knew at the end of the day, I'm not a doctor. She's in the best medical care that we could afford. We had great health insurance, at the time that we had been blessed with, that had kicked in 2 weeks before me being hospitalized. And I'm saying, it was like God just protected us during those hard times. So all those things, the depression, nope. God kept it away. The crazy medical bills, God kept it away. God moved on the hearts of my doctor and my specialist to talk to the board at the hospital to erase some of our medical bills, because of hardship. Like, that is the Lord, y'all. You don't want to hear it, then you got to find another channel, because I'm going to tell you the truth. That is the Lord working on our behalf. My daughter probably should not have survived that pregnancy. Let's just keep it real, and to see where she's at now, even with the struggles that she has on the spectrum, y'all can't tell me we have not been blessed. Like, you can't. You can say it, but you are a liar, okay? Because I know in my heart and soul that God has blessed us, and has protected us during this journey despite the hardships, you know. So trying to wrap this up, you know, brevity is not my strong point, but if you got to do what is right for you, for your family, for your child. You cannot fear the difficulty that you're facing. You know, if you're pregnant, you cannot fear the difficulty that you're facing in your pregnancy. If your child is here walking and living and breathing, maybe your child isn't walking, maybe your child is wheelchair bound. I don't know. But you have to not allow fear to control you as a parent. We are our child's, not just our child's caregiver, but we are their greatest champion. We gotta be there for them through our own fears, you know, and sometimes we gotta push our own fears aside and just, you know, you just gotta suck it up. And it's not always easy to do, but sometimes you just got to do it, you know, because they're worth it. At the end of the day, our kids are worth it. Come on now, you know they are, okay? So, you know, when I look at her and she runs around and she jumps on my sofa even though she's not supposed to, you know, and she loves to spin and twirl and she's my little princess, and you would never know how she started out. Like our pregnancy story with her, it was crazy, guys. It's crazy, but she's here and she's beautiful, and I love her spirit. It just, you know, I love it. I love it. She is my heart. I'll say that to the day I die, Lord willing. That girl is my heart. I love this baby, and so, you know, I hope that you guys can just be encouraged to continue to fight, to stand tall, to be your child's greatest champion, to not allow fear to control you when it comes to your children. You know, you gotta do what's best for your child. I don't care if they're in the womb or they're upstairs in their bedroom, you know, whatever it is, you gotta do what's best for them, okay? If you enjoyed my video, I know it's a long one, but if you enjoyed it, please, please, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button. If you want to see more of these videos, you know, you hit that little bell button that's next to the subscribe button. It's going to let you know every time I upload a video, okay? So on this channel, we do a lot about autism life, okay? I do have a second channel called Sundiata Smith. You can go over there, you can do a search for it, or I'll probably link a video, you know, and go take a look. Those are my kind of crazy wackadoodle, you know, arts and crafts type videos are going to be over there. This is more kind of the more serious nature on this channel, but you can definitely subscribe to both. Would love to have you. All right, we'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.